Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker. Man, December is here, and the best thing about that is not Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Boxing Day for you Canadians and UKers, New Year's Eve, or even the winter solstice. It's the fact that No Shave November is over. The lifespan of all that grotesque, multicolored, multi-directional facial hair that guys have allowed to grow wildly out of control over the last 30 days has ended. So please, kindly take out your razors and shave it all off now. The excuse to be hygienically irresponsible has passed, and it's time to take your faces back, at least for those of us who are forced to look at them. When even Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio can't make scraggly whiskers work, chances are neither can you. After all, only a jolly old elf looks right rocking a beard this time of year, the time of year when tradition dictates it's better to give than to receive. And all any of us want at this point is for you to give us the break to which we've been counting down since November 1st. And just for the record, there's no such thing as don't shave December, so don't get any ideas. Two dudes who would never give it a first thought, let alone a second, from the tops of their heads to their respective necks, Herald Mail insiders Andy Mason and Dan Kaufman wait in the wings to make their always clean-shaven appearances on today's show, a show we like to call the Inside Sports Winter Sports Preview, Part 1. Andy and I will lay the foundation for the upcoming county wrestling season, and Dan and I get you set for indoor track and field, beginning with the boys right after this.
This is our home. It's where we've all decided to put down roots and raise families, not because we had to, because we wanted to. And as a business owner, you pour every ounce of energy into doing what's right for you in this community, and you won't and you don't stop until you get what you want. And neither do we. We're Antietam Cable Productions, and it's time to stand up and be seen and heard. You have a voice, and we'll help you tell your story. Antietam Cable Productions, putting the beat into the heart of your business. Antietam Cable's WCL-TV invites you to take a tour of local restaurants from the comfort of your couch with our local dining guide, airing now. Your host Sam Little goes beyond just the dining room and sits down with local owners and chefs to talk about what makes their restaurants local favorites. We explore the best of American cuisine, head south of the border for a little heat, and travel over the Atlantic for some of Italy's best. Washington County is a hotspot for great food, and we're showing you what you've been missing with WCL-TV's local dining guide, airing now on Channel 30 and in HD on Channel 489.
One, wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. One, wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier Martial Arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick, you feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm Premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
Welcome back to the show, and we begin our winter sports previews with indoor track and field. We begin with the boys, and joining me for that is Dan Kaufman. Dan, welcome back to the show, and time to dig into the winter sports season now. It seems like one season just sort of morphs into the other, and as far as indoor track and field on the boys' side, last year, Smithsburg wins a state championship in 1A. Boonesboro continues to do what it's been doing in the county, winning the county championship there. Now both schools are in 1A.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting battle between them all season long. It's one of those deals where if you look on paper, you're not 100% sure what's going to happen with this boys' track and field season. A lot of teams have a lot of top talent back. A lot of teams are trying to have some new kids step in and step up, so to speak. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really intriguing year on the boys' side and all.
Yeah, I think as far as Smithsburg is concerned, you look at Micah Daniel over on that side, and I think he had a season last year that kind of flew under the radar a little bit. I don't think we realized just how good a season that was.
Yeah, he was. If you're asking me about last year's Player of the Year race, Nate Craig, the sprinter from Smithsburg who graduated, was our indoor athlete of the year last year. And Micah Daniel would have been my number 2 last year, as it turns out. He was sensational in the middle distance events. And he emerged after kind of a mediocre cross-country season last year. It was kind of, like you said, a little under the radar going in, but then he started just dominating the 500 and the 800 in the county, and it rolled from there. And obviously, he looks like he's going to have another outstanding season, and he's going to join Will Merritt, a distant star who is coming off the 1A cross country state championship. So a really nice start to Smithsburg's team there.
Yeah, no question about it. And I don't think there will be a hiccup there with TJ Hood kind of stepping back a little bit and Coach Ray Shriver stepping back in, at least temporarily.
Ray knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for a long time, and obviously he's rolling off some good cross-country results. So, I'm sure he won't miss a beat, and that program will roll on. And congratulations to TJ Hood as he expects the birth of his first kid, which I can speak from personal experience lately is an awesome thing.
And that'll keep him a little bit busy, I tend to think. Now, we can just never seem to separate Smithsburg and Boonesboro, and Boonesboro certainly seems to have plenty of depth.
Yeah, and I mean, we can, as you said, we can name some names, and they have a couple, pretty good kids coming back, especially Adam Burleman in the hurdles and sprints, and Isaiah Elsie in the high jump. Those are two kids that excelled, were big point earners last year. There's so many new names, not necessarily new, because some of these kids are returning, but maybe didn't have the spotlight last year. But Boonesboro's depth, I mean, they've probably got 30, 40, 50 plus kids on this team. They won the county title last year because of their depth. Smithsburg had more county champions, but Boonesboro's depth in picking up those 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th place finishes led to the county title, and I foresee more of the same with this Boonesboro team. Not that I necessarily am going to guarantee they're going to win the county title again, because I don't know that, but I predict you're going to see 3, 4, 5 more names kind of emerge this season for them.
Yeah, it would not be a surprise.
No, not at all.
And I think South Hagerstown, too, certainly has a right to be in the mix there in terms of the county.
I think they've got the best 1-2 punch of anybody in the county. When you look at Darren Harmon in the distance events, especially the 3200, coming off a sensational cross-country season, and he was the top distance runner on the track last season. You throw in Darian Robinson, who's coming off a sensational football season. Now he's back as a sprinter, and he was, right there at the top of the sprinting class last season as well. Right behind Nate Craig, and sort of in there with a couple others as well. Yeah, that's a fantastic start to the Rebels team. I don't know if they have as much depth as Smithsburg or Boonesboro can throw out there, but again, you can't write them off.
And who else should we talk about there? Who else pops into your mind?
For South Hagerstown?
Overall,
well, Williamsport, they've got a county champion pole vaulter and Justin Walters coming back. And Michael Werder in the middle distance events, I believe, has the potential, if he takes another step or two forward, to challenge Micah Dagneau in those events. Werder ran some nice times last year. And then also Williamsport has Eddie Cunningham in the hurdles and Brandon Racing in the distance events as well. They should be consistent point scorers. Hancock has Ian Mann, another strong sprinter back. I think he's going to be, again, a guy along with Darian Robinson, again, in that group of sprinters that's going to be one to watch. Evan Walker in the shot put. And they have two kids that were pole vaulters outdoors, Cody Munch and Dalton Trail, that are now coming indoors. So that's a decent group of kids for Hancock. Now, Hancock doesn't have enough depth. They're not going to challenge for any team titles, and they're aware of that. But they have some solid individuals to watch. And then North Hagerstown in the sprints, Chris Smith and Zahir Scott, they could make some noise as well this season. Again, not a real deep or strong team for North, but those two could do some things.
Yeah, I think the county meet will be interesting overall because that's where depth really comes into play.
Right, and that's why Boonesboro, I would circle them for sure because, again, on paper, they have the most, I think, potential talent. But, you never know, a couple kids from Smithsburg pop up, to the south find some added talent somewhere. I don't think you can say that Boonesboro is a lead pipe lock by any means, and I do think it'll be intriguing what happens.
Yeah, the question is who will surface that we're not talking about right now?
And with the thing with track, there's always 2 or 3, if not more of them. I mean, last year Cameron Harper was a perfect example on the girls' side.
And we'll talk more about the girls coming up here in just a moment. Dan, thank you very much. Stay where you are. Back with part 2 of our indoor track and field preview. We've got the girls right after this.
Wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier Martial Arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick, you feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
Antietam Cable's WCL-TV invites you to take a tour of local restaurants from the comfort of your couch with our local dining guide, airing now. Your host Sam Little goes beyond just the dining room and sits down with local owners and chefs to talk about what makes their restaurants local favorites. We explore the best of American cuisine, head south of the border for a little heat, and travel over the Atlantic for some of Italy's best. Washington County is a hotspot for great food, and we're showing you what you've been missing with WCL-TV's local dining guide, airing now on Channel 30 and in HD on Channel 489.
Sports fans rejoice! Antietam Cable's sports package delivers all your sports action, including NFL Red Zone and MLB Network. Don't miss a touchdown, three-pointer, or home run from your favorite teams in your region or across the country. From pro to college to life in the great outdoors, Antietam Cable has your sports coverage. Sports Plus. Order now and get 60 days free. Instant activation with a digital box. Call Antietam Cable now, 301-797-5000.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. More winter sports previews now, more indoor track and field. The girls up next, and, well, more Dan Kaufman. Dan, and when you talk about more, I think you have to say more Boonesboro in our future.
Yeah, if you don't like hearing about Boonesboro girls track and field, this probably isn't the segment for you because they're loaded again. Top talent, depth. They're going to be really, really hard to beat, not only in the county, but also in the state 1A level. They're looking like the favorites for sure.
Yeah, how does Becky Walter keep doing this? It seems like the numbers just keep multiplying every single year.
I think it stems from her passion for the sport. I mean, when you've got a coach that's really into it and can sell the kids on getting passionate along with her, and you get the kids to feel, pride in the program and all the things that go along with it, it just grows on itself. And you see that at any sport with any coach that's into it and can teach the kids well and the kids have success, it grows on itself. And that's what she's got at Boonesboro right now.
And I think what's remarkable about it is the last 2 years, you could say Boonesboro was banished to 2A, so to speak, and now back in 1A. But those numbers have stuck with her, and the success certainly continues. And as we said this year, talk about some of those girls that will factor in.
Right. Well, you got to start with Haley Wright, the distance star who everybody knows, coming off of a 1A cross country championship, and she's always been super strong on the track. I mean, right there with Megan Grams, who just graduated at the top of the all-time list of county girls distance runners. She's going to lead the way for sure. She's a big favorite. Again, at the county level, the state level, whatever you want to talk about in her events, at least the 1600 and 3200 for sure. Malia Simpson in middle distance should have a big year. Cameron Harper, who I just mentioned in the boys segment, who broke out last year, she's looking fantastic in the sprint. She had a bigger outdoor season last year than she had indoors. So I'm sure she's going to do more big things. Bethany Wallace in the hurdle should be a strong contributor as well. And just like the boys team, I mean, we're just scratching the surface as far as the big names who are coming back. They've got, 24 plus kids that you could probably name as potential contributors. That's the kind of depth they have.
Yeah, we're only mentioning the known quantities.
Yeah, exactly.
So those breakout stars are somewhere there, and we'll find out as the season goes along. Is Smithsburg second in the county, you think?
I think it's going to be a closer race for second, although I think Smithsburg's kind of the team that you circle and say they're the favorites for that spot. But I think it's going to be a closer race for second between them and possibly South Hagerstown and maybe even North Hagerstown, although I don't know if North has the depth to do that. But they certainly have a couple top kids. I mean, Boonesboro is I just can't see anybody really challenging them at the county level, at the 1A level as well. They're such big favorites. But, Smithsburg does have talent. They could surprise me. I'm sure they'll probably put this on some bulletin board somewhere.
Wait, something that Dan Kaufman said? We're going on
somebody using
board?
it. They do have talent. Mallory Mulholt, a star distance runner in her own right. Maddie Mazenko, also a strong distance runner for them. Glenda Castilla should score pretty well in the shot put this season. And they've got some other names in there that I'm sure are going to contribute. Just like we said, Boonesboro has some unknown quantities that are going to contribute as well. I just don't know that Smithsburg has enough overall depth or top-end talent the way Boonesboro has it to really challenge the Warriors.
And you mentioned North Hagerstown in there that might raise some eyebrows for some, but Williamsport's loss is North Hagerstown's big game.
Absolutely. And I mentioned Cameron Harper as a breakout star last year. Well, Jordan Morris at Williamsport last year was an even bigger breakout star, both in the hurdles and the high jump as well. She was strong, multiple county champion last year. Well, now she's transferred to North Hagerstown, and that's instantly going to bring the Hubs a little more attention, a little more respectability as well. As she gets older, goes into her sophomore, junior seasons here, I'm sure she's only going to get better and better as well. And also Michaela Fleetwood in the sprints, especially the 300 and possibly the 500. She's a very strong athlete as well, kind of setting the table for the Hubs. And Rebecca Rhodes is somebody to watch to get some distance points as well. So, definitely a more talented North girls team than we've seen of late.
And what other names do we need to know this season?
Well, South Hagerstown certainly has, a star high jumper in Chelsea Wright, the only county girl to clear 5 feet last season, at least indoors. She's back. I'm sure she's going to be a contender at all the levels, including the state level. Rhynacia Jenkins in the hurdles is definitely a name to watch. Heidi and Holly Sutphin in the sprints, and Natalie Strasburger in the distance events. That's a real nice group of kids that South has, maybe even, in fact, probably a little bit more depth than North has. And South's the team that I want to see. Can they contend with Smithsburg on an overall team level and make a run at that second place in the county?
And Williamsport has a couple of formidable girls there, led by Blarina Ruki.
Yes, right. The county champion in the pole vault. I believe she cleared 8.6 as her top height indoors last year. Danielle Oyster has a chance to make some noise in the sprints event, so we'll see how she steps up. But certainly Blarina Ruki is their star, and I'm sure they'd still like to have Jordan Morris there running for them. But there's a couple kids here that should perform quite well for them.
Yeah, while Boonesboro looks like the clear-cut number 1, the battle for number 2 is going to be pretty good, I think so, when we get down to that county meet and beyond. And I think we'll have plenty of qualifiers as we get into regions and head towards states. Dan, thank you very much for setting us up for all of this. That takes care of indoor track and field. Next up, wrestling. Andy Mason joins me for that in just a moment.
Not all eyeglasses are safe. At Allegheny Optical, we offer Pro Gear eyewear, proven and tested to keep your eyes safe. But our glasses aren't just built to keep you safe, but designed to look good as well. So you can look good and be safe wherever your sports activities take you. Buy your new pair of Pro Gear glasses at Allegheny Optical for only $139. Allegheny Optical, keeping your world in focus safely. Visit one of our convenient locations today.
Look how cute we are. I want to puke on us.
From the producer of Bridesmaids.
I'm just a modern chick who does what she wants. And relationships aren't my thing.
I think we really like each other and we should start dating.
No.
Yes.
No. I slept at the doctor's place last night. What were you, drunk? No, I had like 2 drinks. 3 max. 4 now that I'm tallying.
Trainwreck Unrated.
Digital customers, tune to Channel 1 to get started. Welcome back to the show, and we continue now with the wrestling previews. And joining me for that, Andy Mason. Andy, as wrestling begins this year, you can't help but look back to the way last year closed. And North Hagerstown, not only do you look back to last year, I think even the year before, boy, the momentum has really been building there. There's probably one thing that North hasn't been able to do in the last 2 years, and I know when you talked to Coach Slick before the season even began, that's the one thing he pointed out.
Oh, yeah. The ultimate goal for that program has been to win the state dual meet championship, Maryland 4A, 3A state duals. And, for the last 2 years, they've come so close. They lost to Damascus in that state final at state duals the last 2 years. Each of those losses came down to the very last bout, and they were both heartbreakers. The only, both years, their only dual meet loss of the whole season was to Damascus in the season final. 2 years ago, North wins, then comes back after that close loss to Damascus and wins the state tournament.
Yeah.
And then last year they finished, after finishing second to Damascus state duels, they finished second to Damascus in the state tournament. But I mean, North the greatest 2 years any county school's ever had in wrestling has been North Hagerstown the last 2 years.
It really led last year, when you get right down to it, by 2 freshmen who won individual state titles.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Brooks went 45-1, state champ. Brian Stewart went 42-2, won a state title. Washington County had never had, they're the first freshman in county history to win state titles. They do it as freshmen. I mean, just unreal seasons. Aaron Brooks set the county single season record for victories with going 45-1. I mean, those guys are stars.
Now, have they lost too much to graduation coming into this year to be just as formidable?
They did lose a lot. Actually, they had 12 of their 14 kids in their lineup last year qualified for states. 7 of those kids are back, but 5 aren't. And out of those 5, you had Aaron Dobson, state runner-up, Hunter Faith, 2-time state runner-up, and Dylan Brown, who was also on the state podium. So they lose 5 qualifiers, 3 podium finishers. However, who was their main competition? Damascus. Damascus lost a lot too. Damascus brings back, I think, 1 state champ and 1 third-place finisher. I'm sure they have a bunch of other good kids, but it seemed like they had place winners at nearly every weight class. And I think they only have 2 state place winners back. So, if you look at North Damascus, which it's probably going to come down to again, I think North's looking okay.
Huh,
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but it's not like Damascus, last year they brought everyone back from the previous year, and that's not happening this year.
Yeah,
They're still going to be good, though.
No, they always. I mean,
Yeah.
programs like that
Right.
are good programs
Yes.
for a reason, because
Yes.
they do it again and again and again. And speaking of which, Williamsport has been on a heck of a roll the last 2 seasons too. I mean, last year most wins in school history, and yet still overshadowed here in the county by North Hagerstown.
Exactly. I mean, they went, I believe, 22-2 in duels. Defeated Middletown in the beginning of the year. So their one loss was they lost to North Hagerstown, the dual meet, and that was a try meet with Middletown. They beat Middletown that try meet, and then at the end of the year, they faced Middletown for the 2A 1A West Region title in the region final, and they lost to Middletown. That was their second loss. So they split with Middletown, but lost the one that really mattered.
The good news for the Wildcats is they bring back a huge nucleus of guys with experience.
Yeah, they bring back a ton of kids. Now, they lost some big guys. Everyone loses big guys. But, yeah, they bring back Kobe Baker, placed 3rd in the state last year. Justin Beckley, 3rd in the state. Tanner Canfield, a 3-time county champion. And the list goes on. They have a bunch of kids with experience.
And what I found interesting when I looked at Williamsport's schedule this year, not wrestling a whole lot in their own gym. They're going to be outside of Williamsport a lot for a lot of what they're doing this season. But I think if anybody is looking for a particular wrestling event to show up to over the upcoming holidays, or as we get nearer the holidays, a week from December the 5th, that is December the 12th, that's Saturday, huge tri-meet at North Hagerstown with the Hubs, the Wildcats, and Middletown.
It's probably the best tri-meet in the state, the whole season. It's happening right away. With how good all 3 of those teams are. Middletown's going to be great again. Williamsport's great again. North's great. I mean, it is. It's going to be the best tri-meet in the state of Maryland. It's happening here in Washington County, and next weekend.
Yeah, that will be one. Again, if you're going to see any wrestling, especially here before the first of the year, that would be the one to put on your calendar. Who else should we look at in the county this year? I know as far as Smithsburg is concerned, of course, Bryce Scott is back for them. He has been so close to capturing a state title.
Yeah.
But for Coach Dietrich this year, it seems like he's got some numbers now finally to work with. Not a whole lot of experience, but at least he has some numbers.
Yeah, he has 18 kids this year. Now, that might not seem like a huge number, but apparently he's got enough to cover 13 of the 14 weight classes, and that's key because last year they were forfeiting 5 or 6 weight classes every single dual meet, and you can't do much with that.
It's giving away way too much.
And Dietrich, he's a Hall of Fame. He's in the state Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He just says, I need bodies to work with. He has some bodies now to work with. And, they are led by Bryce Scott. He's now a senior. As a sophomore, state runner-up.
Yeah. Junior, state runner-up. This year, we know what his goal is. Is Boonesboro a team on the upswing here?
Well, they lost. They had a huge loss. They lost Dalton Hawkins, who was their all-time leader. In
right, he was kind of the anchor to that team last year.
Yeah, he got the states, but they have they've I think 28 kids.
Yeah,
biggest team. I don't know if it's biggest team ever. Biggest team I can remember. And they have a new coach, Sean Smith. He takes over for J.R. Hawkins. J.R. Hawkins is now assisting him. Sean Smith comes from St. Michael's, where he was very successful, coached there the last 14 years. 11 of those 14 years, they had winning seasons. He took his team, I think, 3 or 4 times to the East Region duels. And St. Michael's also is the smallest school in the state of Maryland that has a wrestling program.
Wow.
So he got a lot of success there. He says Boonesboro seems like a huge school to him.
Yeah, I bet. So
we'll see. I'm sure he's a great coach.
South Hagerstown gets Brandon Nagati back, but a very young team there. And then St. James, a team that was pretty successful last year, lost one of their main cogs, though, in Gavin Smoot. So I guess we'll see how both of those programs play out. And St. James will wrestle some of the county schools this season, too. I believe, Williamsport and Smithsburg on the schedule for them.
And they'll be at the Hub Cup as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Andy, thanks for getting us ready for wrestling, and we'll see you back after the new year. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll be back right after this, going into solo overtime in just a moment.
Tony's Pizza in Williamsport has had the same simple philosophy since 1985. Start with simple products. Sauce from the best Italian tomatoes. The best cheese and dough made fresh every day. Then mix those with a great atmosphere, and you'll have the best dining experience you can find. Tony's is known for their pasta dishes, subs, pizzas, and specialty items like their Nutella Dots and the famous Crazy Tony. Simply put, they want to give the best food they can give to their customers. So stop in today to Tony's Pizza in Williamsport.
Antietam Cable's WCL-TV invites you to take a tour of local restaurants from the comfort of your couch with our local dining guide, airing now. Your host, Sam Little, goes beyond just the dining room and sits down with local owners and chefs to talk about what makes their restaurants local favorites. We explore the best of American cuisine, head south of the border for a little heat, and travel over the Atlantic for some of Italy's best. Washington County is a hotspot for great food, and we're showing you what you've been missing with WCL-TV's local dining guide, airing now on Channel 30 and in HD on Channel 489.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. It's time for overtime. Boy, the new year, I need to get some friends. I need to get somebody else in this segment with me. It's just me and you, and as the winter sports season commences, optimism runs high for all county teams and student athletes as they endeavor to paint their images of success on what, at the moment, is a blank canvas. In a way, it's funny how people view a 0-0 record. It's sort of a glass half full perception in that, yes, there are no losses beside anyone's or any team's name, but at the same time, there are no wins beside any either, meaning that it's the only time all year that nobody is really concerned about the 0 in that first column. There's no question that putting a crooked number in that second slot is so much easier than placing one in the space that precedes the dash in one's win-loss record. Losses are often perceived to be the result of a lack of effort, skill, desire, or coaching, and they create fodder for excuses and shirking of responsibility and accountability. As former NFL Super Bowl champion head coach Dick Vermeil said, if you don't invest very much, then defeat doesn't hurt very much, and winning is not very exciting. That approach can lead to losing, and losing consistently breeds chronic losing and creates a toxin known as acceptance, summed up by another ex-Super Bowl winning head coach named Mike Ditka, who said, "You are never a loser until you quit trying." You've likely heard the statement, winning cures all. While that might not be completely true, it certainly serves to hide a lot of the cracks in a faulty team foundation. Even so, coaches often reason that they and their teams learn more from a loss than they do from a victory. However, it's fairly safe to assume that none ever go into a game with the intention of losing. As Herm Edwards, another ex-NFL head coach, once stated, master of the obvious like, you play to win the game. But as I alluded to earlier, you have to find your motivation to prevail. Los Angeles Clippers guard Chris Paul once said, I hate losing more than I like winning. It's a case of whatever it takes to, number one, get that edge, and number two, to keep it. Facing adversity and finding a way to overcome it fosters a bond between teammates that turns finger pointing at one another into collectively pointing fingers in the air. So while everyone is handed their allotment of brushes and paints to embark on crafting their respective blank 0-0 canvas into a museum-worthy piece by season's end, as the year progresses, think about everything that has or hasn't factored into producing their final creations. Come the middle of March, just how many Rembrandts, Renoirs, or Da Vinci's will our county student athletes have produced? What's great is we'll hang them all on this show, and we'll all be proud curators. There's a long way to go between now and then, though. In fact, we still owe you one more preview show before we even get started. Basketballs and pucks entered the fray next week in part 2 of our winter sports preview. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you then on the inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets.